Hello, it's James Hunter, and I'm going to talk about exercise advice, working out advice you'll kind of hear from time to time on YouTube from fitness experts or influencers, if you will. A lot of different content. So specifically in this video, I'm going to talk about advice that's given to men 50 years and older, right? As if somehow 50 is a magic number, the magic threshold that once you turn 50, these are the exercises you need to be doing, and these are the ones you don't need to do. Now, my thoughts on these types of videos is this. I think most of these individuals realize that with the situation like how to approach fitness once you're 50 and older or into your 50s for aging adults, I suspect they do understand there's individual situations, that there's not just a broad brush, cookie cutter approach for prescribing, if you will, exercise and fitness advice. So myself, I'm 53 years old. And so I've been in my 50s, 3 years deep, going on to 54. Next year in the spring, I'll be 54. So yeah, I'm in my 50s, and I've been strength training and working out for the better part of 40 years of my life. I will say this first when I want to, in this video, because I'm going to talk about my thoughts, opinions, as far as advice that's given to people in their 50s and older, and as far as prescriptive advice to do this or don't do that in terms of the exercises, because you're in your 50s now, right? So my thoughts are this: regardless of how old you are, there's some things that just kind of, we apply this logic to everyone, whether you're 20 years old, 30 years old, 40, 50, etc. and beyond. So my thoughts are this: whether you're 50 or not, any particular exercise, whether it's the deadlifts, squats, you know, behind the head, shoulder presses, whatever it is you might be doing, it's the benefit, right? Benefit ratio to risk ratio for your individual situation. And there might be things involved or going on, like some people might have had previous injuries, orthopedic issues, other things happening that for them, that's the situation that with them to situationally to do deadlifts or barbell squats or any other number of type of lifts, yeah, it may not make sense for them because it's just not, the benefit does not outweigh the harm it may cause, or injuries. So this is true of anyone of any particular age, 20s, 30s, 40s, etc. So my thoughts, there's that, right, in terms of anyone who's wanting to begin a fitness program, or maybe you've been working out for a while in your life. So I want to speak to a few issues that I think are relevant here in terms of a bigger picture context and how you might want to look at your individual situation if you're in your 50s, 50 and older. So there's three things that I like to consider when I develop an exercise program for myself, or how my goals and priorities might be changing. So yeah, there's specificity. So that's going to be specifically designing or choosing a workout program of specific exercises that support the goals that you're trying to do. Whether you want to use the word functional fitness, athletic performance, agility, etc., or maybe just the bare minimum, right? You want to be able to wipe your butt when you get older, right? And get off that toilet. You want to be able to climb the stairs, not fall off the curb and bust your head on the pavement, right? Maybe just some basic practical reasons to be reasonably fit and have some stability. So whatever your goals are, you get the idea. You have to adjust your approach to working out depending on where you're at. So people who are untrained versus people who have a history of training, and those who've just been maintaining their whole life, right? Like myself, 40 years consistent working out. So depending on where you're at, you're just gonna need to know different things. So yeah, specificity is going to dictate how you design a program commensurate with what your goals are. Two, progressive overload, right? You hear that on these a lot of videos about strength training, progressive overload. So I like to talk about essential mechanical stress. So whether you're 50, 40, 30, 60, doesn't matter. You have to give your body enough stimulation. It needs to be enough essential mechanical stress to load the body in terms of, femurs, hips, your back, all that system, all the bone tissue, all the structures. We need to have enough stress to it, mechanically speaking, when we work out in order to produce and promote those adaptations, bone mineral density, neuromuscular adaptations as well, right? As far as getting stronger and all that stuff and how it works together. So for someone who haven't been working out, yeah, that's something you're gonna have to take it slowly. So progressively, as you're getting in, neuromuscular adaptations, your coordination's improving, your strength is improving, then you can start to increase intensity and frequency and so on, right? So yeah, specificity, progressive overload, exercise variation, there's different things that talk about that, and so on. So you could really get into really dissect in and get super specific if you're that motivated. But truthfully, it doesn't need to be complicated if you're going to pick a program for yourself, depending on what your goals are. My approach to working out in my 50s, it meets my needs and keeps me where I'm at and where I want to stay at. And it's really not a complicated routine I maintain. So let's talk about, in the 50s, right? Whether you should squat, deadlift, and so on. Because I see videos from different individuals saying, when you're in your 50s, do not do the barbell squats anymore, right? So no more of that. And also, I've even heard one guy talking about, squatting too. Imagine that. Squatting's an excellent exercise. One of the reasons my back is as strong as it is, and also why I have no back issues as a 53-year-old man, is because I squat, and I squat deep below parallel. I also still do deadlift. So let's talk about deadlifts. I've seen quite a few videos. Some are just kind of like your average self-taught proclaimed experts. Basically, some guy in his 50s, has some good biceps on him, right? He looks fit, and so now he's said expert, and then he puts out content and basically is promoting what appears to be, in my opinion, their bias, based on what is good for them, to tell everybody then, by default, don't ever deadlift, right? When you're in your 50s, it's just not worth it. And then they'll show you maybe some alternative way, like sitting down in a chair and coming up with a little baby dumbbell or something like that, right? Yeah, good luck producing essential mechanical stress to maintain bone mineral density, have a strong back with a little baby dumbbell like the one in the video I saw. So not trying to make fun, but you need to have enough essential mechanical stress. And I'm going to dive into that a little more in this video later, as far as what I mean about that. So deadlift, and here's my thoughts. So in my 40s, what would that look like for me? So a working set could be 405 pounds for 5 reps, and I would work up to that. Start with the bar, right? A good dynamic warm up, kind of just doing the movement, get the body moving, and then I'd put 135 pounds, 185, 225, 275, 3 wheels for 315, 365, and then I would work up to that 405 pounds, and I'll just finish with some sets with that. Those would be my upper range, heavier sets. So 5 reps would be a good number for me, on my deadlifts. I'd like to work towards 5 reps. Now, for my situation, for perspective, I'm 5'8" tall. Now, back then, in my 40s, I would typically be between 160 to 165 pounds. And in my 40s, I did compete in a couple of federations for powerlifting, kind of like the guys at the gym. Come on, James, let's do this meet. So then I'd literally, like in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, sometimes less than that, I would just get my workouts in and kind of feel where I was at with strength. And then I'd show up and I'd do pretty good, for the meet. I broke and set the national record for full power, total, for my weight class in my age category. I weighed in soaking wet 160 pounds, and that was in 2013. I believe I was 42 at the time. So I was able to do pretty good. Well, I got a first place, right, and broke and set a new national record in that federation. So 160 pounds, right? And so for me, as a man in his 40s, that's pretty decent, nothing to be ashamed of. So where am I going with this? Well, like I said, I gave an example of what my workout with deadlifts may look like in the early and middle part of my 40s. As I started getting older, approaching 50, and then plus what my goals were, I'm not doing powerlifting meets. I did do some bodybuilding as well. Last time I competed in bodybuilding was 2021. I was 50 then. Fast forward now, I'm going on 54. So my goals and kind of where I'm at with my fitness and health, it may fluctuate with how I adjust to what I'm doing because of the goals. But either way, I always will maintain a goal of being stronger beyond what is necessary for everyday life situations, because fitness is like a superpower when you have good core strength, mobility, horizontal, vertical power, all that stuff. The average 50+ adult doesn't really do much to maintain those things, unfortunately. Running a lot does not count. I got other videos on that. If you just run and that's it, this really doesn't count. You know, that's a whole other video. You need to do strength training. So what does a deadlift workout look like in my 50s? Because to be fair, there is something to be said. You don't want to just go, you know, bonkers crazy with 1 rep maxes and train like you was when you was, heck, you know, in my 40s, right? Much less, you know, younger than that when I was in my 30s and before then. So what does it look like today? Well, right now for perspective, I, by choice, stay between 155 pounds up to 160. If I want to put on the weight, I know how to do it. It's not hard to do. I can eat a lot, but it depends on my body composition goal and then overall energy and this how I feel, etc. Health, the overall picture of health. So a deadlift workout today, yeah, I'm going to warm up with the bar, dynamic warm up, 135, 185 pounds, few sets, and then I put 225 pounds. And just depending on how I'm feeling, you know, I may just stay there for a while and just maybe crank out 5 up to 10 reps. Maybe I do it for speed just to get that good explosive feeling, just pulling that weight up quickly while maintaining good form, flat back, using my legs a lot off the bottom, just everything working together, that stimulation. So essential mechanical stress for my situation, if I weigh 155 pounds up to 160 pounds, depending on time of the year, 225 is pretty good, you know, stress. It's a pretty good amount of stress that I'm going to feel through my hips, femurs, back, everything. I'm going to feel that weight pretty decent. And then, so I may go up to 275 pounds. I feel that pretty good. And if I'm motivated, my threshold these days is I'll put 345s, 3 wheels on each side and do 315 pounds. And I can still pull that, you know, 5 reps, pretty solid. But then I shut it off. I have a shut off point, all right? I don't go any heavier than that anymore because I really do not need to for my situation because of the reasons said earlier, my bone structure, my weight. For me, that's relatively enough essential mechanical stress to maintain the benefits, optimal maximal benefit, while making sure I'm not risking injuries by trying to 1 rep maxes or even go heavier than that. So the point is, yes, you make adjustments. But you can still do the deadlift. And as I get older, when I'm in my 60s and so on, I imagine there may be more adjustments made as far as how I adjust my loads and reps and rep schemes and all that. But for right now, I listen to my body. My hips are in good health, knees, don't have any issues with my joints. So I'm in good health. So that makes a difference too, to know your individual situation. So if you're otherwise healthy person, you haven't had any serious injuries and you've been deadlifting for a while, yeah, it's a good idea. You want to keep it that way for sure. As they say, quit while you're ahead, but not literally quit the deadlift. You can keep doing it. Just know that threshold is a point. So my thoughts are, yes, you can deadlift. Know your threshold. You don't need to ego lift anymore. And sometimes it might be tempting. I'll see some younger guy in the gym, probably 23, 24. I'd say about 6'1", 6'2" tall, probably weighing around 240, 250. And pulling 405, 4 reps, and then they just have to drop it so it can slam on the ground and make some noise so they can feel like they're King Kong or something. You know, I kind of just, I don't get that sometimes, right? If it's 600 pounds, okay, you can drop it. 405 and you're that big of a guy, not necessarily in my opinion. Anyways, but the ego sometimes, I'll see that and I'll be thinking, you know, when I was 160 pounds, I was pulling that 405. For 5 reps, but I wasn't dropping it. I'd set it down, right? And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna go do a set and show that guy just so he knows that, you know, that's not as big of a deal as he thinks it is. So that's the ego. We get competitive in our mind. Some people do, not everyone. So that type of stuff, yeah, I don't have no need for that anymore. Some people do, but those of us who've been lifting, yeah, we can be competitive in a healthy way. It's natural. In fact, that's what helps some of us to stay strong and maybe even improve or get better. You see other people in the gym, right? Hey, look at what that person can do. I feel inspired now. I'm going to try to push myself to go more. So yeah, if you're in your 20s, 30s, even 40s, okay. 50s, that's, in my opinion, this is where the modification is, if you will. You got to check that ego. What's the benefit, right? Like for me, my example, what would be the benefit for me to say, you know what, I still got it. I'm going to pull that 405 off the ground just so there can be an observation of a smaller guy pulling the same weight. What would be the benefit? My ego, maybe showing someone up perhaps, but is it worth it? what if in my 50s, because I haven't pulled 405 in a while, yeah, that could be the difference now to where I strain my back, pull a hamstring or something, and then I'm out. I'm out for maybe a few months. Wouldn't be worth it. Okay, what about squatting in your 50s? I remember one gym I used to train at, I see people in their 60s still squatting below parallel, pretty significant weight relative to their weight and their age, right? This is an individual situation too. Not everybody's gonna squat in their 50s, and I get it. But for my situation, I'm pretty convinced that if I did not continue squatting, it would make a difference in my back. There's just something about having the ability to kind of just do squats and the gym to keep you strong with that movement pattern, and how transferable that is into this everyday life situations, including deadlifting. So those two movements, right? If you can keep those going, it's a superpower. If I go to Lowe's, Home Depot, I need to get a bunch of materials, build a fence, and do a lot of pulls, and then using my legs a lot, everything's easy by comparison. So I think you get the idea. And to be fair, I'm not saying that as you get older, 50 plus, to just be reckless and just have this attitude, hey, I'm 25 in my head still, and just ignore the fact that you're getting older and just throw caution to the wind. Not saying that. I mean, I've pulled some muscles in my legs doing sprints in my 30s and my mid to later 30s, and thinking, hey, what the hell's going on here? This is not supposed to happen, right? A lot of that stuff, though, sometimes can be just lack of conditioning. If you haven't done something in a long time, like sprints, yeah, you can pull a muscle, and perhaps that's not always an age-related issue. So whether it's box jumps in your 50s, which I still do, I'm still able to jump 48 inches, 4 feet. Box jumps, do I do that every single time, every week? No, I do not. But throughout the year, I will kind of check to see where I'm at. I'll do some box jumps. I'll test the waters. How high can I still jump onto a box, right? Vertical power. Horizontal power, broad jumping. I have a video, shoot, I think how old was I? Was I 46, something like that, from my old studio. It's on my playlist, jumping. I was still doing clearing over 9 feet, right? So not too shabby for a guy of my stature. Now today, how far could I still broad jump? I don't know. I need to measure that and check it again, see where I'm at. So challenge yourself, have goals, feel motivated, feel inspired. You do what's right for your situation. If you have determined, based on an evaluation of your fitness, your health, your situation, after you've done some training, after you've made efforts to build your foundation, the whole system, right? Hamstrings, glutes, quads, lower back muscles, shoulders, chest, lats. I mean, you're training everything. You're doing multi-joint compound movements. You're not just sitting on a machine doing single joint exercises. So once you've built everything the best you can, and you determine, you know what, even doing the best I can, this lift, it just doesn't feel to be the benefits there for me. It's causing more harm than good. Yeah, then you need to not do that lift anymore. That's you. However, if you're somebody different, your situation's different, the benefit is still there. You're deriving a lot of benefit from it. You're maintaining a lot of adaptations that makes it worth it for you. Then yeah, do you. I think most people understand what I'm saying. Like I said at the beginning of the video, my thoughts are people who put out prescriptive advice for people 50 and older, they know this. In my opinion, they have to know, right? They're appealing to a certain type of audience for people who do not know a lot about the bigger picture context of fitness and so on. So they appeal to these individuals that are just looking for something to do in their 50s. Maybe they've never worked out before and so on. So sometimes general broad advice can be relative to a particular audience, but it's not going to be representative of everyone. So I think you get the idea. My name's James Hunter again. I make videos about fitness topics, mental health, existential issues, purpose and meaning, right? Wellness type topics and other topics, because why not? So if you like discussions and contents like this or similar and related, I'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel, like the video, and I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Thank you.